Hello and welcome to Analysis with me, John Rees. The mess left behind by the Western powers after the 13-year war in Afghanistan is now landing in the lap of the people of the region. The aim of the war was to get rid of the Taliban, yet the war has been such a spectacular failure that Hamid Karzai, the West-chosen head of state in Afghanistan, is greeting the Taliban as brothers. The government of neighbouring Pakistan is now sitting down with the Taliban in talks about the shape of a post-occupation Afghan government. But Pakistan is far from neutral. Sections of its secret service, the ISI, have links with the Taliban, and Pakistan often sees Afghanistan through the lens of its regional rivalry with India. So, will the talks get anywhere? And what are the continued roles of the United States and other Western powers in the region? With me in the studio are Takveem Hassan Siddiqui, UK spokesperson for Imran Khan's party, the PTI, Azhar Javed, who's Bureau Chief UK of the Dunyaya Media Group. And we're joined on Skype by Chowdhury Ansar Mahmood, UK President for the legal wing of Pakistan's ruling party, the PML. But first, let's take a look at this report.
Sporadic outbursts of violence continue to make life in Pakistan very difficult for many. A grenade attack has killed 9 members of an anti-Taliban militia in the northwest city of Peshawar. The Taliban have been blamed in some quarters, although no one has yet claimed responsibility for the attack, coming as it does against the backdrop of a second meeting between the militant group and the Pakistani government, who are negotiating to end the conflict in the country. Thousands have died in Pakistan as a result of the 7-year conflict with the Pakistani Taliban, and for many the talks can't come soon enough.
The Taliban rule begins here after evening prayers. As you can see, the police arrived here after midday. For God's sake, this is a settled area, not a lawless tribal region. We are tired. Tired of picking up our dead bodies. Let this stop for God's sake. We appeal to the government to have mercy on Mashakal, Sayyar Khan and Miss Razi.
The newly elected Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif made negotiating with the Taliban one of his key objectives, and early talks have been hailed as positive by both groups, with a ceasefire proposed as one of the first confidence-building measures. However, not everyone in Pakistan believes that negotiations are the best way forward, with some arguing that a ceasefire will simply allow time for the Taliban to regroup and build their strength. A leading light in the Pakistan People's Party, Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, son of the former President Benazir Bhutto, has called for military action against the Taliban, saying, "We should not allow non-state actors, these cavemen living in hills, to decide Pakistan and India's foreign policy." The Taliban had originally called for Imran Khan, former cricketer and leader of the anti-corruption Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, to represent them in talks with the government. However, Khan, who has already been accused of being too sympathetic to the Taliban, declined the offer. Instead, Sami-ul-Haq, a cleric known as the father of the Taliban for his role training fighters in the 90s, has taken the role.
These two gentlemen went there the day before yesterday. The meeting was held in an unknown remote place in the interior northern region, around 4 hours' drive from Miranshah. The meeting continued almost till this morning. Thank God, very positive results and responses are coming out of these 2 days' talks.
The Taliban, for their part, have made a list of 15 demands, including freeing prisoners, stopping drone attacks, and the introduction of Sharia law in the court system. Always in the background of these talks are the issues of Afghanistan and American drone strikes. With the final withdrawal of American troops from Afghanistan set for the end of 2014, maintaining a stable relationship with the Taliban is going to be crucial to the Pakistan government. Should talks fail, the only option left may be military intervention. And with Sharif also urging an end to drone strikes, reaching a solution to the problem of violent insurgency in Pakistan is becoming ever more vital. Alex MacDonald, Islam Channel.
OK, so Takveem, are the talks going to work?
Thank you for having me on the show, Jonathan. Are the talks gonna work or not? This is a question. Obviously, if you look at the conflict, this has been going on for the last 13 years, and to be specific, for the last 10 years, it has been military operations, violence all around. The talks have to succeed. I mean, talks never go off the table anyway. The talks element will have to come at some point. And we think that this is the point where the talks should take place. Whether they're going to be successful or not, that depends how what the criteria of success is. how you approach success. In order for it to be successful, we believe that the will from both sides, both from the government and the Taliban, to get to a solution, is a key for the talks to succeed. But having said that, there has been a growing outcry of war hysteria in Pakistan from some factions as well, which makes us believe that we fear basically that 2 or 3 explosions or some sort of incidents may derail the talks. And because there are spoilers on both sides, there are hawks on both sides. But having said that, this is the point where the Prime Minister's leadership will be tested. And as much as we've got some reservations the way the talks have been progressed, but still we offer all our support to the government, and we are ready to facilitate any support that the government needs from our side.
There is an actual second question there.
Yeah.
So why did Imran Khan not participate in the talks when he was asked to then?
Right. This is a question that has been around since his name emerged from the Taliban side. First of all, I would like to clear, obviously, that why the Taliban's named Imran Khan. We believe that the reason behind it is that they believe he's a credible person. I mean, his credibility is unanimously accepted in all factions anyway. And
so
he's
why
the person.
Not go into them, then?
Sorry?
So why not go into the talks then?
How can you represent Taliban? That's the question. He's the chairman of the second largest party of Pakistan. He's a member of the National Assembly, and he chairs the second largest party of Pakistan in terms of votes and in terms of representation across the provinces. PTI is the largest party of Pakistan, plus our representation in the government committee. There's no reason why Imran Khan should accept any self.
So what do you reckon? I mean, Takvim saying really that this is very unstable. That we're a couple of bombs away from it breaking down. Do you think it will survive the peace process?
Thank you very much, John. First of all, we have to look at talks between whom. If you look at the Taliban side, there are around 32 factions between them. There are different groups who are operating independently. They don't have one umbrella where they can coordinate their efforts or what their terrorist activities. There are criminals in these Taliban factions. If we see, most of the kidnapping for ransom has been carried out in the name of Taliban. There are hundreds of people, Pakistani people, who have been abducted from the settled area and been taken to that area where the Taliban operates. So first of all, we have to see these things. You are saying about the success of this peace process. If you see today's Newsweek, there is an interview of Taliban spokesperson Shahidullah Shah, in which he's saying, after the implementation of Sharia law, Mullah Umar will be the Amirul Mu'mineen of Pakistan. And Mullah Fazlullah will be the Khalifa, his second person. This is the ideology of the Taliban.
So what you're saying here, that basically there isn't the basis really between the parties for a peace process. Is that your point, really?
No, what I think, or what my information is, because I'm in contact with in Pakistan with my sources, this is just more than a PR exercise. If you see towards the Taliban committee, Maulana Samir, he is conducting these talks on media. If anything happens, he come on straight away onto media. But Abdul Aziz, what of he ran away from in a burqa. There was operation. Do you think the person who ran away in a burqa just to save his life, he can be a credible person? So I think this is just a smokescreen.
Okay, well, let me put that point to Chowdhury. Do you think that's the case, that really that the peace process is too fragile, that the security situation and the so-called ceasefire isn't really holding, that this isn't really going to work?
Thank you, Jan. I think as very good step taken by the Pakistan Muslim League, Nawaz, and the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Nawaz Sharif, and all the intention behind these talks to bring peace and prosperity in our country, in which we are suffering since last 13, 14 years. I think the intentions of this committee and the Prime Minister are the positive and good, and let's see what they act from the Taliban side. And so far as they conducted the 1 or 2 meetings in the past, looks the positive. My friend, Mr. Azhar, he mentioned the Maulana Samiullah and Abdul Aziz. I think the Abdul Aziz is now, he's not part of that committee, and the only Maulana Samiullah is a part of that committee. And I think we are not ready to accept all the conditions and terms and conditions of the Taliban, and so we can enforce in our country and make the amendment as per their requirements. We have to see the Constitution of Pakistan 1973, and if there is some sort of that clause in which we think that will be a viable option, and if these talks become successful, we may adopt those clauses, but not the complete the Taliban requirements, demands.
Okay, Takvim, what will happen if these talks don't work? I mean, they aren't the first set of talks. They wouldn't be the first set of talks to have failed. Will we be back to a very bloody Pakistani military operation in the areas where the Taliban are in control?
Before moving on to, but just to make a clarification on Aziz's point, basically we are judging individuals, and we are looking at individual stances rather than. It's better to look at what comes out from the committee as official statement rather than individuals' views on something. Now, coming back to the whether what happens if it doesn't work. The thing is, I mean, people need to understand that dialogues and talks, they're not an event. This is a process. And we are talking about events that date back to 2004. From day one, Imran Khan maintained, he voted against any sort of military operation. Those were the early days. But now, as I said as well, that there are about 50 factions. And by the way, this morning, Taliban's they released a statement in favour of ceasefire, and because there was an attack in Peshawar yesterday, and TTP didn't claim the responsibility. What they said was, we will be in talks with other factions as well, and they are ready to dissociate themselves from those factions should they not listen. So that's one positive step. And again, I would come back to my point that this is a process. It's not a linear sort of a line from start to finish. There will be problems. There will be jitters in the process. What we need to do is focus on what needs to be done. Mr. Chaudhry, as he said about the points, the 15 points, he said, we will not accept this and that. Well, this is not how, this is the very approach that we say that there is a problem with the process itself. You don't go into talks with presumptions and preemptions. There is a point, they've constituted 15 points they've put forward. Obviously, there are some absurd points in there, but this is why you talk. This is why you discuss. This is so. Yeah.
We'll come back to that. You seem to think that the talks aren't going to work. So, if you think they aren't going to work, what should be happening now?
John, the main thing is who's the prime stakeholder in this in these talks. There are two. There is a army, Pakistan army, and government of Pakistan. Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif is very positive about these talks. In his election manifesto, he promised that he will hold talks, but at what cost? If you see, he said that TTP dissociate from these recent events in last 3 days. Then who is carrying out this?
This is our question.
No, this is that what I'm saying. There are 32 factions. If you are talking to one faction, The others are carrying
But
out
in
their...
your mind, does that make it impossible for the talks to work? And if it is impossible, what would you do?
The main thing is you have to bring peace in your area. But if you are talking to the people who don't have one leadership, there is Pakistan Army have one leader, his army chief. On his command, everyone will not go ahead.
That's a debatable. That's a debatable issue,
Yeah,
but let's leave it there for the moment.
But on the other side, these Taliban, so-called Taliban, have murdered thousands of Pakistanis in last 7 years, and they are still carrying out their attacks on Pakistani soil. There were an attack on cinema yesterday, around 10 or 11 people murdered. If Taliban saying they are not carrying out these attacks, then who is carrying out these attacks?
Yeah, so I mean, I don't think anybody's challenging that. But the point I'm trying to draw you towards is, if all that you say is true, what are you going to do about it? Or should the military just go in and alter the balance of military forces?
No,
and then
one thing Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif is doing, which is good, that he is exposing these Talibans. These Talibans were getting sympathy from the people of Pakistan that they are in favor of talks, but government of Pakistan are not willing. Imran Khan also made a statement 4 or 5 days ago that he is not very hopeful that these talks will succeed.
Okay, well, just let me ask Chowdhury, what will the government do if the talks don't work? Is it back to a very bloody, as they have been in the past, military operation?
No, I think, John, we will make and we will continue to attempt, and I think we will make the second attempt for the talks. But if at the last and the talk is not successful, then obviously our government will make the final decision that what next action should be taken. Because the reason is we should not forget these things, because since last 15 years we are in you can say that we are in the war, and we did not get anything which was positive in the war. The peace is only the solution, and the talks is only the last solution to bring back to the our frontier area and
okay.
I'm
just going to have to stop you there. I'm just going to have to stop you there because we're just moving to the break. But do rejoin us after the break, and we'll be looking at this same issue in more depth after the break.